We welcome our viewers around the world. Today, we focus on a simple but powerful idea. Nigeria will not develop merely because people fight for control of the center. Nigeria will develop when the people of each local government, each state, and each region decide to build where they are rooted. If you mind the kobo, the naira will take care of itself. If every local government becomes stronger, every state becomes stronger. If every state becomes stronger, every region becomes stronger. And if every region becomes stronger, Nigeria itself becomes stronger. This video was independently produced for informational and educational purposes only. It is not sponsored by, affiliated with, or endorsed by any government, political party, campaign, or public official. Viewers are encouraged to review multiple sources and think critically. The learning objectives are on your screen. First, we will explain why local development is the foundation of national development. Second, we will examine the value of regional development and why states must build from their own strengths. Third, we will discuss how over-centralization weakens development by making too much depend on the center. Fourth, we will draw lessons from the United States, Singapore, and South Africa. Finally, we will present a better path forward, a Nigeria in progress, built from strong local governments, productive states, and responsible regions. Useful resources are on your screen. In a prior video, we made the point that President Tinubu is not the problem. That statement is important because Nigeria's challenge is bigger than one president, one administration, one party, or one election cycle. At the time of this video, Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the current president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, but the over-focus on the presidency did not begin with him. Whether the president is the experienced Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the bright and dynamic Omoyele Sowore, the disciplined Peter Obi, the seasoned Atiku Abubakar, or the policy-focused Adewole Adebayo, we would have made the same argument. These are all patriotic Nigerians. But any one of them would have inherited a declining economy, weakened institutions, and a deeply centralized system that places too much expectation on the presidency while placing too little responsibility on states, regions, and local governments. The issue, therefore, is not simply the person in Aso Rock. The deeper issue is a structure that makes the center too powerful, the states too dependent, and local governments too weak. One of the greatest mistakes in a multi-ethnic country is to make the center the only prize. When everything depends on who controls the federal government, politics becomes a permanent struggle for access, influence, appointments, contracts, and symbolic power. Mistakes that a developing country in a competitive world cannot afford to make. Local roads are neglected. Local schools suffer. Local hospitals decline. Local industries are not built. State governments become dependent. Local governments become invisible. This is a sign of dysfunction. A healthy country does not ask every community to abandon its own development while waiting for the center. A healthy country asks every community, what are you building? What are you producing? What are you teaching your children? What roads are you maintaining? What records are you keeping? What businesses are you growing? What institutions are you strengthening? The center should coordinate, protect, regulate, and support, but the center should not swallow the country. Mind the kobo, and the naira will take care of itself. The real unit of development is not just the nation. It is the local community. A child attends a school in a town or village before becoming part of a national workforce. A farmer produces in a local environment before feeding a state or nation. A trader needs a local road before reaching a regional market. A patient visits a local clinic before becoming a statistic in a federal health report. So the development chain should be clear. First, develop the local government. Then develop the state. Then cooperate across the region. Then strengthen the federation. This is not division. This is order. Every group should build its own lane, not in hatred of others, but in responsibility to its own people. Western Nigeria should develop its local governments, towns, cities, education systems, industries, farms, transport corridors, language institutions, and cultural assets. Eastern Nigeria should do the same. Northern Nigeria should do the same. The South-South, the Middle Belt, and every other part of Nigeria should do the same. The goal is not separation. The goal is contribution. A strong region contributes to the country. A weak region demands from the country. A productive state gives Nigeria strength. A neglected state becomes a burden on Nigeria. Nigeria's languages should not be treated as obstacles. They can be development tools. In Western Nigeria, the commonality of Yoruba across many communities can support education, media, agriculture extension, local governance, cultural production, and regional trade. In much of Eastern Nigeria, the Igbo language and related cultural networks can support enterprise, apprenticeship systems, technology adoption, local manufacturing, and diaspora investment. Across much of northern Nigeria, Hausa, as a widely understood language, can support commerce, public communication, agricultural education, civic messaging, and regional coordination. This does not mean ignoring minority languages or smaller communities. In fact, true development must protect them. But shared language can lower the cost of communication. It can make public information easier to spread. It can make education more rooted. It can make business networks more efficient. Singapore understood something important. Language policy can help a diverse society function. English became a working language for international commerce and interethnic communication, while mother tongues remained connected to heritage and cultural identity. Nigeria can learn from that balance. Use English where it unites the federation, but use Nigerian languages where they deepen development, trust, education, and local participation. Nigeria's regional lesson. Nigeria has already seen the power of regional thinking. Before the full weight of centralization, Nigeria's regions had stronger identities, clearer responsibilities, and greater pressure to compete in development. The Western region, Eastern region, Northern region, and later Midwestern region were not perfect. There were political conflicts, inequalities, and serious national tensions. But the regional structure had one major advantage: it made development closer to the people. When a region had responsibility for education, agriculture, infrastructure, and local priorities, the people could more easily see who was performing and who was failing. Regional leaders had to prove themselves not only in Abuja or Lagos, but in the schools, roads, farms, markets, and institutions under their direct responsibility. Centralization weakened this logic. As more power moved to the center, the struggle for national control became more intense. The question became less, how do we build our state? And more, who controls the federal purse? That is not a development model. That is a competition for access. One reason the United States became powerful is that its states became centers of experimentation, production, identity, and competition. California does not wait for Washington before becoming a technology and entertainment hub. Texas does not wait for Washington before developing energy, logistics, and business networks. New York does not wait for Washington before becoming a financial and cultural center. The federal government is important, but the states are also powerful engines. This is why a federation works best when the parts are alive. A federation is not strong because the center is big. A federation is strong because its parts are productive. Nigeria should learn from this. Lagos must develop as Lagos. Kano must develop as Kano. Enugu must develop as Enugu. Rivers must develop as rivers. Oyo, Kaduna, Ogun, Anambra, Akwa Ibom, Borno, Plateau, Edo, Benue, and every state must ask, what is our development identity? What do we produce? What do we teach? What do we export? What problem are we solving for Nigeria and for the world? A prime example is northern Nigeria, where successive governments since the late 1970s have failed to adequately address insecurity and insurgency within the region, while focusing instead on acquiring power at the center. For selfish and short-sighted reasons, governors in this region have used religion to control the people rather than addressing poverty, inequality, unemployment, and lack of opportunities. This failure is not limited to the north. Governors of almost all of the southern states have failed to learn from the northern experience, instead spending time and resources battling for central power rather than developing their own states and making their citizens prepare for the world and the future. Now, the instability in the north has mutated to their states. Sadly, some of these governors aspire to lead the country even though they have been unable to govern their own states effectively or create meaningful opportunities for their own people. There is also a warning from South Africa. South Africa's history shows the danger of building politics around separation, suspicion, and hatred of the other. Apartheid was an extreme system of racial separation and exclusion. Even after apartheid ended, the country has continued to struggle with deep inequalities and periodic xenophobic violence against foreign nationals. The lesson is not that South Africa is alone in this problem. Many countries struggle with blaming outsiders. The lesson is that no country develops by turning frustration into hatred. When people do not fix local problems, they often look for someone else to blame. When communities do not build schools, roads, housing, jobs, and institutions, political energy can become anger against another group, another region, another tribe, another immigrant, or another religion. Nigeria must avoid that path. Staying in your lane should not mean hating another lane. It means taking responsibility for your own lane. Build your local government, build your state, build your region, respect your neighbor, trade with your neighbor, learn from your neighbor, compete in development, not in destruction. Nigeria is too large, too diverse, and too important to be governed by constant anxiety over the center. The future of Nigeria will not be secured only in Abuja. It will be secured in local government offices, classrooms, farms, markets, hospitals, courtrooms, technology hubs, ports, workshops, and community institutions. The question for every Nigerian should not only be, who is president? The question should also be, what is my local government doing? What is my state building? What is my region contributing? Is my region known mainly for contributing chaos, mayhem, and dysfunction? What records are we keeping? What industries are we growing? What language are we preserving? What children are we educating? What future are we preparing? If every region develops its own strength, Nigeria will become stronger. If every state minds its own kobo, the Nigerian naira will take care of itself. This is not a call for division. It is a call for disciplined federalism, local responsibility, regional cooperation, and national renewal. Nigeria rises when its parts rise. And the work begins at home. The learning objectives have been met. If you found this presentation informative and educational, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing and sharing with family members, friends, and colleagues. Your support helps us create more informative and educational content. Until next time, stay strong, stay hopeful. This has been a presentation of Apomilero Media, LLC.